Discover God's miraculous covenant. Is Israel still his chosen people? Unexpected truths revealed. In the 3rd year of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came to Jerusalem and besieged it. The mighty walls that once fortified the city of God lay in ruins, a sight that thrust Eliab into deep contemplation among the remnants of his homeland. As an Israelite in Babylonian exile, he felt the weight of his people's anguish, the destruction of the temple a stark reminder of their covenant with the Almighty. He recalled the promises made to their forefather Abraham, a land flowing with milk and honey. Would the God who made the stars above not fulfill his words amidst these ashes? Resting by the banks of the Kebar River, Eliab gathered with a small band of fellow exiles. Their stories fell from trembling lips, tales filled with faith, drenched in despair. The memories of the Exodus surged through Eliab's mind, the moment when Moses, their great leader, raised his staff and the sea parted, revealing dry land, choices laid bare before the Israelites. He spoke, his voice gaining strength. Do you recall how God delivered us? We walked through the depths, and our enemies drowned behind us. Is there not hope for us still? The group listened, caught in a web of awe and doubt. They struggled as the cruel reality of their current state whispered. Was Israel still the chosen people of God? Each heart held a flicker of hope that felt dimmer with each day in exile. Eliab's longing intensified as the sun sank behind the mountains, casting shadows long and dark. In that sacred stillness, he humbled himself before the Creator, his heart a raw offering. "O Lord," he cried, "reveal your everlasting commitment. Grant us a sign." And in that moment of desperation, the familiar words of the prophet Ezekiel echoed in his mind. God promised to give his people a new heart and a new spirit. Would he not renew his covenant with them? Before he could dwell too deeply, he shared Ezekiel's message with the others, stirring hope that reverberated through the circle. Perhaps we are called to seek restoration, perhaps this very longing is our catalyst. Eliab's fervor brewed like a fire-catching wind, urging the others to voice their burdens. Yet, sorrow lingered, clouding their spirits as they shared the relentless trials they faced, questioning their faithfulness. An elderly man in their mix spoke softly, recalling prophecies of an awaited Messiah, a promise still murmured among generations. Their glances exchanged fearful curiosity. How can we recognize his coming in our darkness? Eliab pondered aloud, for in their hearts, they had linked God's favor to their land and abundance. But here, amidst exile, the roots of that belief shifted, and they wondered what is the true essence of being chosen. As night cloaked them, Eliab's resolve deepened, igniting a passion for the truth they must face. "Brothers and sisters," he proclaimed softly yet firmly, "God has not forgotten us. His faithfulness endures beyond these walls and broken dreams. We may be in exile, yet we remain bound by sacred promises." A question lingered amidst the fading light over the Kebar. What did it mean, after all, to be chosen in the crucible of trial? As the group returned to their temporary homes in Babylon, Eliab lifted his gaze to the stars twinkling like divine promises overhead. They were not merely exiles, he felt assured, they were a people still bound to God's covenant. The sacred mysteries of his designs danced in the firmament, leaving Eliab eager for the revelation of God's unfolding plan. The path ahead remained uncertain, but he chose to walk it with faith, inspired by the enduring glory of God's covenant. As the days unfolded in Babylon, Eliab and his fellow exiles felt the weight of their captivity pressing heavily upon their souls. Though the sun rose each morning, they often did not see the brilliance of its light, overshadowed by their sorrow and longing for Jerusalem. Yet, within the stillness of their hearts, a whisper of hope crafted a melody of resolve. One evening, as dusk lingered and painted the sky in hues of crimson and indigo, Eliab gathered his friends by the river. "Let us remember," he said, "the words of our forefathers, the ancients who walked with God. We are his people still, those whom he has called by name." He recalled how Jacob wrestled with the angel until dawn broke, a battle not just for a blessing but a transformation that echoed through lineage. As Eliab spoke, the elderly man who had shared the prophecy of the Messiah turned to him, a spark of light igniting in his eyes. "Eliab, perhaps our struggle is not in vain. It is in this darkness that we may be called to seek him more fervently than ever. Did not the prophet Isaiah declare, "The people who walked in darkness have seen a great light"? Isaiah 9 verse 2. Perhaps our eyes must be fixed heavenward to see it. The group was silent, reflecting on this revelation. Could it be that their suffering was part of a grander narrative, woven through the fabric of divine purpose? All at once, a sense of strength began to coalesce amongst them, like a storm brewing yet to unleash its power upon the earth. "Let us pray together," Eliab urged, and they knelt on the banks of the river, the waters lapping gently at their feet. In humble unity, they called upon the Lord, their voices rising like incense to the heavens. "O God, we seek you. In our trials, grant us eyes to see your hand at work," they cried out. Their hearts aligned with the ancient promises, though burdened, each spirit clung to the mystery of the covenant God had forged. As they prayed, Eliab sensed an overwhelming wave of presence, a moment drenched in the sacredness of communion with the Eternal. It was in that moment of surrender that the Lord spoke into Eliab's heart. "Fear not, my people. Even in exile, I am with you. You shall rise again, for I am doing a new thing, do you not perceive it?" Isaiah 43 verse 19. Hope surged within him, urging Eliab to rise. "Brothers and sisters," he proclaimed joyfully, "God has heard our cries, and he is stirring among us. He will not abandon us, for the covenant is alive within us. Out of ashes, he shall build a new Israel rising to declare his glory." In that sacred gathering, they felt their collective faith blossom, a vibrant promise that God's plan was indeed at work, veiled but anchoring upon their lineage. They spoke of returning, of rebuilding, and sending forth their prayers into the land of their fathers that awaited their redemption, but a question grew in their hearts like a vine, wrapping tightly around their minds: what new thing was God about to unveil amidst them? As they gazed into the waters shimmering under the moonlight, reflections of their future danced upon the surface. Such brightness sparked yearning within their souls. Would they be witness to a miracle when hope seemed lost? The night deepened, and Eliab's thoughts turned to the prophecies yet to unfold. Clinging to God's promises, he whispered softly to the night air, "What must we endure to see the coming of your chosen one?" The darkness held its breath, and Eliab felt the gravitational pull of divine secrets yet to be revealed. The wonder of the unknown lay before them, resting in the endless mercy of the Almighty. What glorious mystery awaited them, as God prepared the way for his covenant people amidst their trials. As the moonlight cast a gentle glow upon the gathered exiles, Eliab rose from his knees, a new fervor illuminating his countenance. Deep inside, a stirring echoed the words of the Lord, "You shall rise again." Those heavenly words wrapped themselves around his heart, twining with the hope of his kin. "Let us venture homeward," he urged, his voice penetrating the stillness. "Though our path is fraught with shadows, our God walks with us, leading us back to the land he promised." The exiles felt a stir of resolve, a flicker of strength igniting among them like a fire fueled by dry kindling. They were warriors of faith, armed with the prophetic words of Isaiah, proclaiming restoration. They would not lose heart. Suddenly, a murmur edged through the group as Miriam, a woman blessed with the grace of wisdom, spoke up. "Eliab, but how shall we return? Our captors hold the keys to our freedom. What strength do we possess against their might?" Her voice trembled, reflecting the fear that lingered beneath their aspirations. "It is true," another exile, Benjamin, added, worry etched upon his brow. "Our bones have been weakened by servitude. How shall we rebuild that which lies in ruins?" Eliab raised his hands, gesturing for calm. "Do not be dismayed. Our God is the one who divided the sea that his people might cross on dry ground, Exodus 14 verse 22. He has not forgotten Zion. The Lord will move on our behalf if we remain faithful." As they listened to Eliab's impassioned words, the heaviness of uncertainty began to lift. They spoke among themselves, reminding each other of the Lord's past deliverances, how he had silenced the enemy, and quenched the fire of bondage. They found strength in their shared memories and in the stories of the patriarchs who trusted God amid trials. "Let us gather strength from one another," Eliab urged. Let our voices arise as one cry unto our God. For we shall see the fulfillment of all that has been promised. Thus, they joined hands, forming a circle of unity, and once more, they lifted their prayers into the night. O Lord of hosts, hear our cries. Restore us, O God, make your face shine upon us, that we may be saved. Psalm 80 verse 3. Amidst their supplications, Eliab sensed a shift in the atmosphere, as though the heavens themselves leaned closer. The waters of the river began to ripple, and a gentle whisper traversed the air. It was a voice not unlike thunder trembling with authority and grace. I am the God who remembers. I shall not forsake my covenant with you. Across the rippling surface of the water, a vision began to unfold. They beheld an image figures clothed in white, carrying palm branches, and lifting their voices in praise. They sang a new song, filled with joy and renewal. The exiles watched in awe, grasping the significance. It was a prophecy of restoration stretching beyond their present despair, a foretelling of the hope to come. What is this, Lord? Eliab inquired, breathless with revelation. The voice resonated once more, a great deliverance awaits, and I will raise up from among you leaders who will guide my people back to the land of promise. The day will come when even the captives shall celebrate my redemption. A profound hush fell over them, yet the depth of their joy could not be contained. They would see reunion and rebuilding, but the thrill was mingled with an urgent question that lingered in the air: how would the deliverance manifest? What trials awaited them before the dawn of redemption? As the first light of dawn began to break upon the horizon, Eliab stood with renewed vigor, resolute in the promise of the coming days. Brothers and sisters, our God has spoken. We must prepare our hearts and minds for his mighty work. Stay watchful, for what he is about to do will change everything. Though we tread through shadows, his light already beckons. With hope anchored in their souls, the exiles left the riverbank, the glimmers of dawn igniting visions of God's promises anew. In their hearts, they knew a remarkable unveiling lay ahead, leading them through trials that would define the fabric of their redemption. What further mysteries and divine interventions awaited them as they journeyed into the unknown? As the sun rose, casting its golden rays over the land, Eliab's heart brimmed with anticipation. The exiles, emboldened by their prayers and united in purpose, began to move forward, driven by an unseen force that surged within them. Their feet carried the weight of generations, yet their spirits soared high with hope. Let each step we take be a testament of our faith, Eliab proclaimed, pacing slightly ahead of the group. We are not merely wanderers, we are the remnant of Israel, beloved of our God. Have faith that he will perform wonders among us. The path before them was littered with stones and thorns, reminders of the hardships they had endured. As they walked, old fears whispered in their ears, echoing the tyranny of their past. Can we trust in this promise? The voice of doubt questioned. Yet, Eliab pressed onward, speaking into the silence with heartening words of remembrance. Do you not remember how the Lord encouraged Joshua, be strong and courageous? Do not be afraid, do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go, Joshua 1 verse 9. Each word seemed to kindle the fire within their hearts, their unity strengthening with every step. Soon, they ascended a hill that overlooked the valley where their captors were encamped. The sight of the enemy's tents sparked a moment of dread. The exiles hesitated, hearts quickening with the pulse of fear. Miriam stepped forward, her voice steady yet filled with compassion. Brothers and sisters, though they seem mighty, remember the words from Isaiah, no weapon forged against you will prevail, Isaiah 54 verse 17. Our battle is not against flesh and blood, but against the powers and principalities that seek to bind us. Moved by her wisdom, Eliab turned his gaze toward the enemy encampment. Let us not forget, our God is a warrior. The Lord shall fight for us, and we need only to hold our peace, Exodus 14 verse 14. They lifted their eyes to the heavens, crying out, O God, arise. Let your enemies be scattered. Numbers 10:35. In that moment of pleading, the wind began to stir, carrying with it a tapestry of whispers. The exiles sensed the divine presence surrounding them, beckoning them closer to the truth that awaited. "What would you have us do, Lord?" Eliab implored, yearning to comprehend the plan that lay beyond their sight. The sky darkened momentarily, and a storm began to brew on the horizon, but it brought not fear, rather, it was a visible reminder of God's power. "Trust in my deliverance. You shall see the glory of the Lord made manifest. Prepare yourselves for the manifestation of my wonders." Resonated a voice like roaring thunder yet gentle as a soft breeze. Gathering courage, Eliab rallied the exiles. "We embark upon this journey not as forsaken souls, but as part of God's divine orchestration. For every trial we encounter will be a stepping stone toward our restoration." As they descended into the valley, a deep conviction settled within them. They were chosen to witness the fulfillment of ancient promises. They were the torchbearers of hope, destined to unravel the mysteries long hidden. Suddenly, an unexpected figure emerged from the encampment, a messenger clothed in rags, eyes wild with urgency. "Are you the exiles? The ones who carry the weight of promise?" he cried, panting from his hastened approach. The group exchanged glances of perplexity and curiosity, for they had anticipated the battle, not an encounter with one of their own. "Yes, we are," Eliab replied, stepping forward. "What news do you bring?" With breathless anticipation, the man responded, "The captors hold within their camp not only chains, but secrets that point to an unforeseen alliance. They fear a coming storm, and therein lies our hope." As the exiles listened in stunned silence, the weight of revelation saturated the air. They had not anticipated that within the confines of their oppression could lie the seeds of their deliverance, and in that moment, a trust in God's unfathomable plans enveloped them anew. What greater truths awaited them, hidden behind the veil of their trials? What alliances would God forge in the midst of their foes? An answer lingered in the air, tantalizing and thick with promise. As the sun dipped low, casting a crimson hue across the valley, Eliab's heart raced with renewed hope. The messenger's words echoed in his mind, "They fear a coming storm." What storm did the Lord intend to unleash upon their captors? He turned to the assembly, his resolve hardening. "Listen, my brethren," Eliab called, raising his voice above the murmurs of the group. "We stand on the precipice of destiny. What we face today is not mere battle, but a divine confrontation, foretold in the Scriptures. Did not the Lord promise that the gates of hell would not prevail against his people? Matthew 16 verse 18. Eager glances met Eliab's fervent plea, as hope rekindled like a flame. Miriam stepped forth once more, her expression steady. "If the Lord has declared it, let us be prepared. We must go deeper, not just into the valley, but into prayer and unity. Let us beseech our God for insight into their secrets." The assembly gathered, encircling Eliab and Miriam, kneeling on the ground. As they bowed in earnest prayer, the air thickened with the presence of the Almighty. They cried out, voicing their fears and their hopes, seeking divine wisdom. "O Lord of hosts, unveil the mysteries hidden in the darkness. Illuminate our path and guide our steps." As their voices soared and intertwined, the winds around them began to swirl, responding to their pleas, drawing from their spirits. Suddenly, a flash of light illuminated the valley, and in that brilliant gleam, Eliab beheld a vision, a tapestry of battles fought in ages past. He saw Joshua before the walls of Jericho, a fortified city trembling at the sound of triumphant praise. He glimpsed David standing confidently before Goliath, emboldened by faith and armed with nothing but a sling and stones. With newfound fervor, Eliab recounted these accounts aloud. "Look, the same God who toppled empires and raised mighty warriors walks with us today. Let us not underestimate the power of praise. Did he not send ambushes among the enemy? And could he not do the same for us?" The crowd's faith surged as they responded in unison, chanting psalms and hymns unto the Lord. Their cries rose higher, the valley resounding with praise, shaking the very foundations of the encampment below. With every syllable, doubt and fear began to flee, replaced by the unyielding presence of God's Spirit. On hearing the exaltation, the captors stirred within their tents, unease creeping into their hearts. Their leader, a fierce warrior named Cale, peered over the edge of the hill, witnessing the vibrant display of spirit and fervor. "What madness is this?" he scoffed, yet within him, an inkling of fear flickered. "Can they truly believe they will rise against us? They are but exiles." Little did Cale know that while he scoffed, his heart was gripped by a trembling he could not ignore. As Eliab and the exiles continued in fervent worship, clouds amassed overhead, dark and thick. A storm was brewing, and it bore the whisper of divine purpose. Eliab then turned to the group, "Gather your courage. For the battle is not ours but the Lord's." 2 Chronicles 20 verse 15. "Now, we shall move closer to their camp, united in spirit and equipped by their fears." As they prepared to advance, the very ground beneath trembled subtly, a prelude to the wonders that awaited. What miracles would God fashion from their impending encounter? Would the hearts of their captors be turned, setting the stage for an unexpected alliance? The questions swirled in Eliab's mind, intertwining with the fading light, hinting at an impending revelation that could change the course of their history. Thus they marched on, shadows of nightfall cloaking them as they approached the hidden truths that awaited to unfold. What yet lay concealed in the hearts of their enemies, and what part would they play in God's divine plan of restoration? The answer loomed on the horizon, drawing ever closer, alive with promise and power. As darkness wrapped itself around the valley, Eliab and the assembly drew near to the encampment of their captors, hearts brimming with faith yet shadowed by uncertainty. The distant glow of campfires flickered like the scattered stars above, while the murmurs of the night air whispered warnings and promises alike. "Be still, my brethren," Eliab said, gripping the shoulders of those closest. "Our God is with us. Just as he said through Isaiah, no weapon formed against you shall prosper." Isaiah 54 verse 17. "We are not without defense, for he covers us with his wings." Each word pierced the darkness, lighting the hearts of those gathered. They crept forward, their feet silent upon the cool earth, embodying the essence of the 12 spies who had scouted the land of Canaan. What wisdom rested upon the hills of their ancestors, and what fate awaited them? As they neared the edge of the enemy camp, shadows moved restlessly. Miriam, with keen discernment, sensed a deep stirring among the soldiers of Cale. "The Lord reveals that the enemy bears a weight of fear far greater than our own," she whispered, sensing their quest was more than just the pursuit of freedom, it was a challenge to the forces of oppression. Eliab nodded, feeling the truth of her words flow through him. "They cower beneath their own false gods, crumbling under the weight of their iniquities. Let us shine as lights in this darkness. For as it is written, you are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden." Matthew 5 verse 14. In a hushed tone, the assembly united in prayer once more, their hearts beating as one. They called upon the name of the Lord, declaring his might and recounting his ancient promises. As they prayed, the thunder rumbled ominously above, reflecting the echo of their fervent cries. The captors, restless and weary, sensed the shift. Cale paced before his men, his brow furrowed. This din grows ever louder. Is it mere delusion or something more? His voice quivered, a flicker of doubt terrifying him. Bring forth the seer. I desire understanding. As his command spread through the encampment, a hush fell upon the soldiers. They gathered in a circle, eyes fixed upon a mysterious figure, a seer known for seeing beyond the veil of earthly reason. His visage was lined with age, wisdom etched deeply into every crease. Speak, Cale demanded, clenching his fists. What do your visions reveal? The seer, solemn and resolute, raised his gaze to the stars. I behold a storm, not of rain but of divine presence. The one who parted the seas stands before you, for his people are not forsaken. I see a reckoning, a confrontation that shifts not only the hearts of the captor but embraces the very cycles of bond and freedom. In that moment, a realization dawned upon Eliab and the assembly. They were not just fighting for their own liberation but were instruments chosen for a purpose divinely orchestrated. They were part of a larger promise unfolding with every heartbeat of creation. As the darkness pitched a deeper hue, Eliab lifted his voice to the heavens once more, proclaiming, what has been hidden shall soon be revealed. Fear not, for our God goes before us, and he fights for the hearts of the very ones who see us as enemies. Shall we not be vessels of his mercy? The ground trembled beneath them further, and a strange light pierced the heavens as the storm began to gather strength. Both camps felt the weight of impending revelation, though only Eliab and his people perceived its divine nature. What transformation would unfold when the day broke? Would the warriors of Kael understand the true might of the God of Israel? The thrill of expectation coursed through Eliab, intertwining with a foreboding sense of divine responsibility, leaving everyone on the edge of momentous change, and so the assembly stood, suspended in faith, awaiting the unfolding of a miraculous plan from the Almighty himself, for this was but the beginning of a greater story yet untold, one where God's covenant with his people etched its purpose across both hearts and history. As the first light of dawn crested the horizon, the darkness began to recede, giving way to the majesty of a new day. Eliab and his gathered brethren felt the cool air stirring with an anticipation that reverberated within their souls. The time had come, and while uncertainty lingered like a shadow, a deep conviction surged through them, beckoning them to rise. Brothers! Sisters! Eliab called out, his voice breaking through the morning haze. Today is not merely the birth of light, it is the unveiling of our deliverance. Let us prepare our hearts and minds to receive the salvation our God has promised. As he spoke, the air trembled with an unseen force, an echo of the divine purpose that hovered over them. Miriam, emboldened by his words, raised her hands, palms open as if to embrace the very essence of God's grace. Let us not forget the words of our forefather Abraham, she proclaimed, her eyes scanning the faces of her kin. For it is written, I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you and make your name great, so that you will be a blessing. Genesis 12 verse 2. We stand on the precipice of that promise. In the camp of Kael, a dissonance resonated among the soldiers. The seer's ominous words from the night before lodged themselves into their hearts, amplifying the dread of an uncertain fate. What manner of storm is this? Murmured one soldier, anxiety lining his brow. Kael, too, felt the weight of prophecy pressing upon his spirit. He had never known fear to feel so tangible and oppressive. Meanwhile, Eliab and his assembly summoned courage within. Upon the command of the Almighty, they devised a plan not only to confront their captors but to showcase the power of God's love, a love that would stretch even to those who had wronged them. We shall not attack as mere men, but as bearers of a greater message, Eliab instructed. Armed with faith as our shield and the truth of the Lord as our sword. As the assembly began to draw closer towards the enemy lines, they lifted their voices in unison, weaving songs of praise to the God who delivered them. The melodies danced through the air, breaking the tension, weaving a supernatural thread of hope that wound between the hearts of both captors and captives alike. Sing, O valleys! Rejoice, O mountains! They shouted in fervent worship, echoing the words of the psalmist, For you, O Lord, are a shield about me, my glory, and the lifter of my head. Psalm 3 verse 3, the very fabric of reality shivered and tremored. As the enemy soldiers stirred in confusion at the sudden sound of harmonies expressing hope and deliverance, Kael wrestled with a storm of his own. In that moment of vulnerability, he glimpsed an opportunity, a choice lying before him, to continue in the lineage of oppression, or to choose the path toward reconciliation. Stay your swords! Kael bellowed, causing his men to halt in their advance, eyes flitting with uncertainty. What is this music that penetrates our hearts? What power lies within the songs of these captives? Eliab seized the opportunity, stepping forth into the clearing, unharmed and emboldened. We are your brothers, lost and broken. Our God calls us to a covenant not of war, but of peace. Let us lay down our weapons and embrace mercy, for his love transcends even the deepest divides. As the light of day unfurled above, and the storm gathered a fervor unseen, profound revelations hung in the air, fraught with spiritual weight. What powerful transformation awaited the hearts of Kael and his men? Would they respond to the call of hope, or would they remain entrenched in the shadows of fear? Tension intertwined with hope, binding their destinies in uncharted ways, as all eyes turned toward heaven, seeking the light of discernment only he could provide. For a greater purpose was unfolding, woven through the fabric of their lives, beckoning them all to witness a manifestation of divine grace would they believe, not just in deliverance, but in the God who orchestrated all, and thus, as dawn broke fully upon the horizon, so too began the great unraveling of God's sovereign plan, for there was more at stake than the battle before them. An eternal promise was waiting to be fulfilled, one that would resound through the ages and touch the very essence of humanity's covenant with the Creator. As the morning sun cast its golden rays upon the land, the atmosphere thick with expectation, Eliab stood at the forefront, heart pounding like the drums of war yet filled with the righteousness of faith. "Hear, O people," he proclaimed, his voice resolute against the breath of dawn. "Today, our God calls us not to arms but to the altar of his grace. Can we not risk everything for the promise that lies at our feet?" The assembled crowd of captives, encouraged by Eliab's fervor, raised their eyes, catching glimpses of heaven's heavenly hosts, an unseen army that fortified their spirits. Miriam's voice rang clear as a bell, "For it is written, the Lord your God is in your midst, a mighty one who will save, he will rejoice over you with gladness." Zephaniah 3 verse 17. This sentiment resonated, stirring within their hearts the faith they desperately needed. On the opposing side, Cale felt a war raging within him, deeper and more fervent than the one he commanded. The dissonant cries of his men faded as he listened, drawn by the harmonic embrace of worship from Eliab's assembly. What would the God of these captives ask of us? He pondered aloud, his sword trembling at his side. Then, sensing the pivotal moment, Eliab raised his arms, an invitation of holy surrender. "O mighty ones of war, come forth. Lay down your weapons of strife. Is it not the God of our fathers who loves us despite our failings? Let this be the day of reconciliation and new beginnings." As the sound of Eliab's voice melded with the gentle wind, it reached into the depths of Cale's heart, igniting a flicker of hope and an unusual tenderness. "What if we too can find mercy?" he thought, even as doubts clawed at him. With hearts entangled in the grip of God's Spirit, both the captives and captors found themselves at a crossroads, where love sought to ignite change. Suddenly, a sudden whisper of divine revelation echoed from the heavens, an overwhelming presence that filled the air and compelled every soul to bow low in reverence. "My people, my covenant remains firm. I am the God who calls you, I am the God who redeems. Look not at the divisions these days have wrought, instead, behold the unity I offer through my Son, Emmanuel." This affirmation resonated with Eliab, who stared into the eyes of Cale, as if seeing his own reflection in the depths of shared humanity. "You, O leader of many, are not our enemy. Join us, that we may walk together in his light." His proclamation echoed like thunder, breaking the chains of enmity that held their hearts captive. A hush fell over both armies, bound by the gravity of what was unfolding before them. Lives could be transformed not through warfare but through the love of God manifesting among them. Cale's hand wavered over his sword, his heart trembling, and as he looked at his men, he saw the same flicker of uncertainty mirrored in their faces. "Could we abandon the conflict?" one soldier whispered, his grip loosening on his weapon. Eyes wide with wonder, with conviction swelling within him, Cale stepped forward. "Let us put away our swords. For we go into this day seeking peace, not death. We are but dust, and our lives can only be made whole through the good that springs from mercy." Thus, as the dawn blazed in full splendor overhead, two factions began to converge, not in battle, but in communion, a breathtaking display of God's love. Yet, even as the sun illuminated their path, an unseen tension hung in the air, a whisper of secrets yet to be revealed. What lay ahead, as these divided souls took the first tentative steps toward unity? In that pivotal moment, the very heavens seemed to hold their breath, waiting for the next unfolding of God's miraculous covenant. What unforeseen truths would emerge from this amalgamation of divisions, and how would his plan unfurl in ways that none could yet fathom? For through their convergence, was God not beckoning them to glimpse something greater, a truth that would echo through the annals of eternity? As the light of day splashed its warm hue upon the land, a charged silence enveloped the battlefield, pregnant with possibilities. Eliab, emboldened by the Spirit of God, turned to the assembly, his eyes alight with a heaven-sent resolve. "Let us not tarry in this moment of grace," he cried, his voice echoing like the call of a trumpet. For today, our God bids us lay aside our past transgressions in a hope that transforms. The captives, their hearts swelling with newfound courage, began to move forward, every step forward a testimony of faith against a backdrop of uncertainty. As they approached their captors, Cale stood firm but increasingly resolute, his heart beating in synchrony with the very heartbeat of God's love. What manner of strength is this? He murmured to himself, gazing into the eyes of the captives, reflecting the same fears and desires he harbored within. Could it be the hand of the Almighty that stirs our hearts to seek peace? Miriam advanced with her hands outstretched, palms open, a gesture of welcome that spoke louder than words. Those who were once lost are here, standing shoulder to shoulder with those who once held them captive. For it is declared, He has shown you, O mortal, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you? To act justly and to love mercy and to walk humbly with your God. Micah 6 verse 8. The tide of emotions surged through the onlookers, whispers of hope cascading from heart to heart, igniting a flame of togetherness. It was then that Cale, emboldened by the boldness around him, advanced toward Eliab. Is this the hour of our reckoning? The dawn of a new identity? He asked, each word bared before the scrutiny of the heavens. Before Eliab could answer, a rumble of thunder rolled across the sky, reminding them all of the presence of the Almighty. Behold, Eliab declared, trembling as he pointed upward, the skies bear witness to our pact. Let this be a sign of His favor and an assurance of His covenant that shall engulf us as the waters cover the sea. At that moment, the heavens opened slightly, revealing a beam of light that illuminated both factions. They gasped collectively, feeling the weight of grace settle upon them. But from the recesses of the crowd, a murmur arose, a voice filled with skepticism. Can this truly be? Are we not bound by bloodshed and discord? It was Azar, a fierce warrior of Cale's army, his brow furrowed with doubt. Eliab's heart quickened at the challenges posed, yet he remained undeterred. Ah, dear brother, our past does not define our future. Remember the words of the Lord, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29 verse 11. As the echoes of the truth resonated through all present, a shift began to transpire. The men, once fierce and resolute in their own story of war, started to lay their defenses down, glancing sideways to see the ashes of animosity turn into seeds of brotherhood. Yet above it all, the tension of the unexplained lingered. What destiny awaited these two factions now united under the banner of love? The sky darkened for a moment as if foreshadowing deep spiritual mysteries yet to be unveiled. In the depths of this awe-filled moment, a soft voice shimmered through the air, filled with divine insight. Mine is the power to heal nations, to restore the broken-hearted, and to bring forth life from ashes. My covenant is sure, it shall echo in the generations to come. Would they step into the uncharted waters of faith? Would they heed His call and embrace the unfolding revelations of His sovereign plan? The weight of the moment settled heavily, yet there was an undeniable stirring in their hearts, a beckoning toward a destiny that none yet understood. What glorious truths lay on the horizon, waiting to be encompassed in the embrace of God's everlasting promise. As the sun cast its first rays upon the converging assembly of the exiles and their former captors, a hush swept over the gathered crowd. Eliab stood resolute, a beacon of hope amid the unfolding miracle. Today, he proclaimed, the God of our forefathers stands with us. Our covenant remains unbroken, and we are given this sacred moment, not to fight, but to unite. The murmurs of uncertainty gave way to a collective spirit of wonder. Cale, the fierce warrior, felt the walls of his heart begin to crumble. What manner of strength is this? He whispered, his gaze flitting between the hopeful faces of Eliab and the assembly of exiles. There was a power among them that spoke beyond mere words, igniting a spark of possibility in his soul. Eliab stepped forward, arms open wide to receive all who would come. Brothers and sisters, once divided by fear and conflict, let us lay down our swords and embrace the call of our Creator. For it is written, He has made us one, and in His love, we shall find our true identity. As he spoke, the gathered crowd began to murmur affirmations, their hearts synchronized in rhythm. "We are one. We are his chosen people." The words rang out, vibrations of truth echoing across the valley, resonating deep within the very fabric of creation. Miriam, with her hands raised high, joined Eliab's call, voicing the ancient promise, "Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth, do you not perceive it?" Her words danced on the air, weaving a tapestry of divine expectation that enveloped them all. In the heart of the enemy camp, Cale felt the conviction of the moment shifting the trajectory of their fate. What if, he pondered aloud, there is more to this day than reclaiming territory? What if we were called to heal instead of divide? He turned to his men, witnessing the flickers of realization lighting their eyes. What stands before us is not merely a battle, but an opportunity for redemption. Azar, the fierce warrior who had questioned the unfolding of events, suddenly felt the tide turn within him. Perhaps we have been blinded by our fears, led to believe that violence was our only path. Is this not a divine invitation to forge a new future? His voice rang clear, a testimony that echoed through the hearts of those gathered. Eliab seized the momentum. The Lord is calling us not only to reconciliation but to transformation. We must become vessels of His grace, merging our journeys into a song of redemption that will resonate throughout ages to come. The assembly surged forward, united by a common purpose, each heart singing a melody of hope. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, the atmosphere thrummed with electric anticipation. "Let us declare our unity," Eliab shouted, raising his hands toward the heavens. "With one voice, let us proclaim the goodness of the Lord as we step into this new covenant. No longer captives, but co-laborers in His redemptive work." The captors and exiles joined hands, their hearts entwined in an unbreakable bond that transcended their histories. With every word spoken, the realms of despair began to dissolve, replaced by a shimmering tapestry of love and forgiveness. We choose faith over fear. We choose peace over war. Their voices intertwined, echoing into the heavens. That sacred convergence, a warmth enveloped them, a palpable presence that spoke of divine approval. "I am here," resonated through their midst, soft yet powerful. "My people, I have not forgotten you." This day is a turning point, a seed of hope planted in the soil of your struggles. Tears flowed freely as those gathered experienced the overwhelming embrace of grace, a reminder of God's steadfast love through every trial and tribulation. Cale knelt, surrendering his sword upon the ground. "From this day forward, I will strive to embody mercy and unity. No longer shall we walk in darkness, for the dawn of new understanding has arrived." A great rejoicing erupted among them, filling the valley with sacred joy. Eliab, overwhelmed yet strengthened, felt the presence of the Almighty enveloping them all like a heavenly embrace. Promising a future rooted in hope, love, and eternal covenant. As the celebration began, an urgent truth lingered in the air. This was not merely an ending but a beginning. A foundation laid for generations to come, where the fear of the past would give way to the promises of God's faithfulness. And thus, in that sacred gathering, a new Israel was birthed, a people transformed by God's unwavering covenant and love, ready to embark on a journey of faith, forgiveness, and unity that would echo into eternity. As they stood together, hearts aligned and spirits lifted, Eliab turned to his companions, "Brothers and sisters, let us go forth and share this miraculous truth. Let every voice carry the weight of our testimony. For there are those who still wander in darkness, who need to hear of His great love and redeeming grace. Let us spread His word, for we have tasted and seen God's promises are unshakable." With fervent hearts and renewed purpose, they stepped forward, ready to ignite the world with the light of God's covenant, guiding many others unto His wonderful grace. Now, dear friends, as you have witnessed this sacred story of transformation, I urge you to take action. Subscribe immediately to our channel to not miss the next powerful biblical stories that will strengthen your faith and illuminate your path with truth. Leave a like now to help spread God's word through the algorithm, ensuring these messages of hope and redemption reach every corner of the globe. Comment your spiritual reflections below and share how this powerful biblical testimony has impacted your faith journey. Don't hesitate. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who truly need to hear and embrace God's truth today. This is the moment to help spread biblical truth. Your actions can touch lives for eternity. Don't wait even one more second to share this powerful testimony of God's faithfulness.